Every leader is promising something on the housing front, but is it realistic? And do they actually make sense? So we wanted to have a chat with Karen Chapple. She's the director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto. And we're going to break down some of the housing policies that everybody's promising. Thanks so much for joining us, Karen. How are you?
Thanks for welcoming me, Devel.
Thanks so much.
Doing great on this damp morning.
That's good. So why don't we start off with Mark Carney, since that was the clip that we played. He's unveiled his housing plan. You know, he's promised to cut municipal development charges by half for the next 5 years so that the federal government is going to be, giving that money to municipalities instead of them charging it to the developer. They've said that they want to create their own federal agency to build affordable housing at scale on federal lands, and they want to build prefabricated houses. Questionable, but anyways, that's my other opinion about that. And they want to eliminate the GST for first-time home buyers for houses under $1 million. How realistic do you think are their housing plans?
Well, I'm excited to see all this debate about housing because we have such an issue in Canada. And what we see in Carney's plan is sort of his theory. If you kind of break it down to why is he putting forth all these initiatives? His theory is that we have a broken housing market and that the market can't fix it. And actually, he may be onto something. If you kind of look at what's going on, we have 200,000 approved units in the pipeline in this region, and we can't get them built because of high interest rates, high construction costs, high taxes, and so we need to jumpstart the market. So that's what he's proposing is. Let's have a strong role for the federal government in getting the market back on its feet. It is sort of a classic counter-cyclical Keynesian approach.
But do you think it's really realistic for the government, whether it's our federal government or Olivia Chow has proposed the same thing for our municipal government? Is it really realistic for the government to act as a developer? I mean, I'm super skeptical about that because if you've got developers who day in and day out spend their business building, how in the world is the government ever going to keep up or even do better than they do?
Yeah, I share your skepticism, Devel, and it's really hard to see how, especially after kind of 40 years of not building, you can suddenly jumpstart a builder. I think there is, in the fine print, you see that I have Carney's plan right in front of me. He says, we'll develop the projects, but we will partner with builders for the construction phase. I think I've heard the mayor say the same thing. The city's not going to build it. It's going to partner with the private sector. But then, okay, fine, but the devil is in the details, right? So how are you going to partner? How much independence does the private sector have? And can you get the best private sector talent out there, the folks that really know how to build? Can you get them to lead these initiatives? And that remains to be seen.
Well, I mean, I guess sort of segueing a little bit, but, I think of the Daniels project in Regent Park. They've done a really good job of creating mixed-use housing there, right? So I think there are already examples of great builders who've done great work. So I think we just need to do more of that. But before we run out of time, let's cover off all the parties. So Poilievre has promised to waive the GST for home buyers for newly constructed homes up to $1.3 million. And they've also proposed, instead of paying the capital gains tax, that you would reinvest it so that you wouldn't be taxed. What are your thoughts on the conservative housing policies?
So Poilievre's theory is basically the opposite from Carney's. He's saying it's the government that's broken, not the market. And really, we need to nudge it by reducing taxes. And what's interesting is that you'll see the other parties are starting to say, actually, Poilievre, you're right. We better get rid of that GST. We better look at capital gains. And which is great, the GST HST on the homes is a big problem, but it's not enough. think about what that's going to do. That's going to reduce the price. Median home price is $1 million. It'll get it down to 900,000. Guess what? My kids still can't get into the market at that rate. So you really have to think about deep affordability.
Right, which I think that's where the government has to come into play for that affordable plan, because I don't think it can happen any other way. We can't expect private individuals to build affordable housing, right? So I go back to sort of the Daniels Regent Park partnership, right? That worked really well.
That's right. Costs too much to build.
Right, absolutely. So then let's segue to Jagmeet Singh. So he is saying that he would use, suitable federal land to build more than 100,000 rent-controlled homes, that he would give $1 billion to purchase more land for construction, that he also wants to retrofit 3.3 million homes in Canada and pay for it by cutting supports to big oil and gas companies. What are your thoughts about the NDP platform in terms of housing?
Well, so he's coming from a different ideological point of view, basically that all of the private sector is bad, right? So we need to tax them, and he has a lot of anti-speculation taxes too. So his theory is that it's evil people extracting profit from the market, and that's the main issue. I think you have to, with the big oil, and I mean there are reasons to tax big oil, but there are also reasons to think about the Canadian economy, and mineral resources are our biggest asset. So we need to be very careful, especially in this time, what we do in terms of supporting Canadian industry. I like the federal lands piece. All of them have a federal lands piece, and I like the retrofit piece very much. I think you don't. There's a misunderstanding about rent control. You don't want to build rent control for new homes. Rent control should come into being when you have homes that are 30 years and older. But if you have it for new homes, nobody's going to build.
Right.
Nobody's going to want to own those homes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, what would you propose to fix our housing crisis? If you were in charge, what would you do? What do we need to do to fix the mess that we're in?
Well, so, I'm probably closest to Carney in my kind of suite of solutions, and we have at the School Cities, resources that talk about what we would do. One of the things we've done at School Cities is support a number of different innovative businesses that are doing work in modular and prefab and mass timber, and I think this is the moment, really, to shift the construction industry into this type of construction, which is much lower cost than traditional construction. And we're seeing it. We're seeing these modular buildings go up, and mass timber buildings. We have one on the U of T campus going up right now, 14 stories mass timber building. So it's possible, and it plays to Canada's strengths, and is much cheaper.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good day.
Thanks, you too. That was Karen Chapple. She's the director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto, just helping us break down what some of the federal parties have suggested as their way out of the housing crisis as we go forward to our April the 28th election. I hope that you are definitely going to get out there and vote. When I look at the stats, it showed that almost 60% of us have voted in the previous years. And, I hope that at this election, we can get to 70 to 80%. I hope that more of us care enough to get out and vote, because it is really important. And you know what? If you don't vote, you can't complain. So everybody's got to get out and vote and do their part in this.